Hi there, this is Rod Scotland of Completely Managed, and for this session I'd like to walk you through the Spark experience from a device and a user overview. We will not be covering feature functionality within this session, however it is a good reference to the actual users that exist in the kit and what devices they are associated to. Starting with the Spark Xperience SmartKit overview, as you could see in previous videos, where the devices are physically located and what components make up the entire SmartKit, I want to just draw your focus to the actual tag on the kit and make reference to the kit number. That is a very unique number, and particularly the last 4 digits on that tag are very relevant to, as you will see going through all of the demonstrations, and you will require the unique 4-digit number, as you can see as we move forward through the slides, to complete your demonstrations. The EVUNS-Video network switch is very important to the kit. It serves multiple functionality, multiple purposes, including high-amp powered USB ports to general switching the network and the video sources within the switch. So in this example, the red button that is located on the EVUNS switch, if you were to push that once, it will redirect the button, or rather the video source, to the SX10 to the monitor, and then if you simply press it again, it'll redirect the video output to the monitor. So let's just walk through that, what that may look like. So if I push that button, as you can see now, the source video from the SX10 reaches the destination of the monitor, and if I touch it one more time, the same happens for the included micro compute module. So we shift the video source to the video screen in itself. Much like the video EVUNS switch, we've also included what's called a video destination switch. Much the same process exists where I can touch the button that's labeled monitor and HDMI out, and if I touch it once, it'll redirect the video to the monitor that's included within the SmartKit, and if I press it one additional time, it'll redirect the video out the HDMI port. And then, as you can see with the example here, that allows me to plug into a overhead projector or a larger room AV system, maybe a smaller group with an AV TV. So walking through that, if I push the video once, or the button once, you can see the source went to the monitor, and if I push it again, I'm now directing the output of the SX10 and the compute module to the HDMI interface within. So just a summary on the final feature of the network switch portion of the EVUNS solution. So as you can see there, this is where all the HDMI interfaces are also plugging in. And it's in the same theme where we have an A and a B button, or A is hotspot and B is WAN. And so if I do press the A, I will redirect the internet traffic or connection rather through the included wireless hotspot, and then B, by default, B is selected within all kits. That is using the WAN port on the external port on the kit. And what that means is I'm able to arrive at a trade show or a demonstration, and should the customer provide me a wired Ethernet connection, I can plug that into that very port and direct internet through the kit that way. And again, if I push the A button, I now can place my phone in hotspot mode, my mobile phone in hotspot mode, using my own data from my mobile plan, and that becomes an internet connection for the kit. So let's just walk through that. If I push the B button, as you can see, the traffic now is routed through the Meraki Z1 through the kit to the devices. And if I push the A button, then I am now connecting the internet from my mobile phone to the kit in itself. So that's pretty handy, especially if you're in mobile locations or you don't have physical network access. Just a note on charging the devices and the keyboard. So particularly on the grid slide drawer, we covered the fact that there is an included Android device and a Bluetooth-enabled wireless keyboard with a trackpad. So those two devices run obviously on battery, and so we have provided that dual head charger that's pre-wired or pre-powered, and simply just detach it from the Velcro tab and connect it into your devices. What's really important to know is, before you do or perform a demonstration, you want to make sure your devices are charged, so you can leave these devices plugged in prior to your demonstration and then continue forward. So within your Spark Xperience kit, we have provided a laminated guide. So this guide is the network topology. So it's a dual side or two-sided guide, and the one side gives you this diagram, which is a great overview of your kit, all of the IP addresses and usernames and things of that nature that you would require to administrate the kit, or just have a reference to understand the connectivity within the kit. And then on the second side, if you turn that laminated guide over, we give you your usernames, passwords, default extensions, URLs, and URIs. And again, this is really where that unique kit number really comes into play. Anytime that you see the 4 digits, it's looking for your unique digits. On the bottom of this guide gives you a very quick guide as to the connectivity of the compute module, and also the EVUNS switch, again, for covering and giving you the instructions as to what their applicable use is. So before we get into the users, there are some pre-configured, what we would call system-wide features. So we took the time to configure a system-wide auto attendant using the Spark administration portal. And then, of course, by dialing into the auto attendant, you can use the number associated to a user to dial by extension. We've also included hunt groups within that, and based on that, we've configured a auto attendant that is allowing you to select option 2, and the callers will be directed to what we configured as the engineering hunt group. We've also configured shared line appearances. These are good use and good examples so that you're able to demonstrate how to provide, maybe in a medium or small business where I want a shared line, a sales line in our configuration available or appearing on both phones or multiple phones for that matter, and we're able to show and demonstrate the status of the actual line into itself. And then, of course, we've included the various speed dials that are applicable. So within, dependent on the phone, you can see that one phone will dial the other phone, or one user, Alice K, will dial Mark Lee, and vice versa. And so we can dial by extensions, we can dial by email address, and we can dial by the URI address of the actual. So we've included the 3 various speed dial capabilities. And then, of course, there is the single number reach, and that obviously is the ability for, in our configured situation, for Alice K to have both her computer and her phone will ring at the same time. Okay, so let's cover the demonstration users. So I'm going to go into detail here. This is a good single slide snapshot, if you will, of the 3 users that are within the kit: David Gold, Alice K, and Mark Lee. We're going to go into each of these users in detail so you understand how their devices are configured. And once again, just know that that unique kit number becomes very, very important as you make your way through the demonstrations. What's really important to understand, and if this slide can serve as one purpose, it's really the bolded text, if you will, under each of the usernames. So the actual extension of the user and the associated device for that user, and then if that user is part of a group, a hunt group, or a speed dial. All right, so let's look at the 8841, which is the far left extension. That is extension 5002, and that assigned user is Alice K. So as you can see, we've bolded here on the slide all the things that are pretty important there, and we've tied it and mapped it to the physical buttons on the phone. So Alice K is associated extension is 5002, and what's important to know is Alice K also is the owner of the laptop, or rather the video or compute module that's within the experience. So when we talk about Spark Desktop Client, on the Windows environment, that is the compute module and the monitor associated that you're able to demonstrate shared line appearances and other functionality. What's also important to know is Alice K is a member of the sales shared line. So when we do call that line, you'll see it ring across both Alice's and Mark's phone as well. And then as a reference for URI, Alice can be dialed at AKAY, and your 4-digit unique kit number at experience.cloud. What's important to know about the URI is AK with the 4 unique digits at experience.cloud can be dialed from devices external to the Xperience SmartKit, meaning that you can configure your Android device or tablets, iOS devices, and dial that kit from anywhere over the internet as long as it's connected and obviously the kit is online. So that's a fantastic demonstration and very impressive for customers to see the universal capability of dialing users. Just the device characteristics, the 8841 is a wired device, much like the 8845. It does have 10 buttons and 4 feature buttons along the bottom. What's important to know with this particular phone, however, is it does not support Bluetooth and certainly does not have an integrated video device built into the camera, or rather the phone. We've labeled the buttons, so as you can see, B1 through 5. Let's just cover those quickly. Obviously, button 1 on the phone is the user extension. In this case, it's extension 5002. And button 2 is the shared line, which is the sales hunt group, and that is extension 5020. Of course, you can pick up any phone and dial extension 5020 to hit that queue, or just press the speed dials. Which gets us to button 3, 4, and 5, which are the examples of the speed dials. So we can speed dial to Mark Lee by extension 5001. We can use button 4 to speed dial using URI capability, and that's speed dialing SPK your unique 4 digits .room.ciscospark.com. And then you can also speed dial by email. So that bottom button 5 is speed dial program to dial David Gold or D Gold unique kit number at SparkKit unique number.call.ciscospark.com, and David phones, which by the way is the tablet, will ring as well. Okay, so let's cover the 8845, which is extension 5001 and belongs to Mark Lee. So much like Alice K, you can see the bolded extensions. What's important, or rather the bolded fields, but what's important to realize here is the Mark Lee's device does not, he's not associated to any other device within the kit. However, Mark is a member of the engineering hunt group and also a member of the sales shared line. And of course, as you can see, Mark can be dialed at Lee with the 4-digit unique number at experience.cloud. So the difference here with the 8845 is while it is a wired device and so has 10 buttons, 4 feature buttons, it does support Bluetooth and does have integrated video. What's really nice about this capability is now calling, should you be able to, or should you call the SX10, which we'll get to on the next slide, or even dial someone external to the kit via video, you are able to demonstrate and enjoy a video experience between the users. So without getting into all of the buttons, very similar to the 8841. The difference, however, is in reverse, whereas the speed dial on this phone is programmed to speed dial Alice K, and then again you have the button 4 and 5 for the same type of capability in demonstrating the different methodologies of speed dialing. All right, let's talk about the SX10N. This is the newest version of the SX10 from Cisco. As you can see across the top here, you can URI dial this by way of SPK, the 4-digit number of the kit, at SparkKit 4-digit number.room.ciscospark.com. Really, really cool demonstration to be able to do this from the tablet and of course the phone 8845, but again, much like throughout the kit, you can dial this from external devices as well. So the characteristics of the device here, it's a room system device, and that's really its theme. So when you're speaking to the SX10, it really can address and does address a small room environment. It does have a remote so that while you're at the boardroom table, you're able to basically pan and tilt the video and also zoom in and whatnot and adjust volume and things of that nature. So we covered the capability of dialing URI, and on the next slide we're going to talk about proximity because that is a very, very killer feature of the SX10N. And so what is important to know is that SX10N is integrated to the monitor by way of the EVUNS switch that we've covered in a previous slide, and of course with that it's HDMI connected. So when you do get to the grid slide, which we'll cover in a slide very shortly, you'll notice that Jabra 810, which we'll cover in detail, but that is a wired audio connection to the SX10N. And then, of course, the Android tablet can use the SX10N via proximity for dialing, and we're going to cover that. So on that Jabra, the 810 particularly, aligned to the boardroom experience. So this is the audio capability that allows us to have a very high definition audio experience within the kit, but as it's spoken about, or spoken to rather, it's a great match, if you will, for the SX10 in a small boardroom, 8-10 people. It's a touch button interface on the Jabra 810, and basically from there I'm able to demonstrate my audio side. And if you notice on the grid slide there, just below the Jabra 810 is the actual remote holder for the SX10, and as demonstrated in an earlier video, that is a pressure-fitted slot particularly made for that remote to protect it during shipping. Okay, that brings us to the compute module, which is in the kit, and you can see there on the compute module Alice K's picture, and that is because she is the default user of the compute module. So just the device characteristics. The compute module is a lightweight Windows 10 desktop, and it's USB powered and basically a wireless connection via the Meraki into the kit. It does have an HDMI wired to the monitor by way of the EVUNS switch, and of course, as mentioned, you can rotate the video source between the SX10 and the compute module with the monitor there. And that compute module offers Bluetooth connectivity, and that's exactly how we connect the Bluetooth keyboard that we made note to make sure it receives frequent charging. All right, the extension. So within that, when you do load the Spark client on the Windows desktop, it is a registered client to Alice K's profile, so extension 5002 appears, and as you can see, and as mentioned, Alice K is the owner of that. So it's pretty intuitive by way of demonstration. However, you can demonstrate the shared lines and URI dialing and things of that nature. Then, of course, it is a Windows desktop, Windows 10 desktop environment, so you can surf the internet with it, general web browsing. We often and encourage you to use it for the Spark portal administration and demonstrating the administration side of Spark. And then another recommendation is if you do have PowerPoint slides or corporate messaging or things of that nature, great way at a demonstration or with a demonstration at a trade show to have your PowerPoint loaded on the compute module so that you have everything with you contained within the Spark kit itself. Let's talk about the Android tablet. There are two purposes for the Android tablet. So what we'll cover is the user, and this is the Spark administrator, David Gold. So I say Spark administrator because David is the profile that you will use to administrate the Spark portal and make changes to your devices and add additional capabilities. So do remember that David is the Spark site administrator. He is at extension 5000, and he is the user and the associated user of the Android device, including the Spark instance that exists on the Android tablet. David's also a member of the engineering hunt group, so when you do demonstrate and dial that group, naturally that tablet will ring. And then of course you can URI dial David at the dgold 4-digit extension at experience.cloud. So with the tablet in itself, it is an Android operating device and does from time to time request that you do software updates, and that's perfectly fine. Just be sure to check that the Cisco Spark version is updated accordingly, and also it is compatible. The tablet is wireless connected by way of the Meraki, so it registers as an IP soft client, if you will. And then, of course, much like the compute module, the client can be used to surf the internet for web browsing, dialing, messaging, and demonstrate the portable Spark experience. Now, on the next slide, we're going to talk about SX10 capability from a proximity perspective. Before we do that, I just want to give you a little bit of detail on what, just summarizing, call it breaking down what proximity technology is. So on the SX10N, you'll notice a fine little, to the bottom left-hand side, what looks to be a microphone. Actually, that microphone is actually a speaker, and it's emitting an ultrasonic sound. And the Spark apps, all of the apps are tuned to listen for that sound. And so once that a Spark app does indicate or does hear that sound, it will appear on the Spark environment proximity capability that allows you to then, as we'll demonstrate in a different video, or a different slide here, that allows you to integrate and shift your desktop and your connection, if you will, content, whatnot, to the SX10. So in speaking to that, what we'll do is walk through a little bit of an overview of how that works. So in this particular slide, we'll talk primarily about proximity. And so what that allows me to do in general concept is to be able to start a call from the SX10 or the tablet and be able to traverse the content from the tablet to the SX10 or vice versa. So by simply approaching the SX10, we've identified it here as proximity detected. The Spark client will actually notify you of that and give you the opportunity to swipe the screen to move your content from the tablet to the desktop or the SX10 connected desktop video monitor. And then of course from the tablet in itself, you can actually swipe that back and take a video or content and move it back to the tablet. So that's the use of the secondary use outside of being David Gold's primary tablet environment. Proximity is a fantastic feature, and if you can imagine sitting in a boardroom and wanting someone to participate from the boardroom, share content from a tablet or a phone, this is a fantastic feature, and it's absolutely worth demonstrating almost every time. It catches a lot of interest. All right, so that does conclude our this session within this device and user overview, and please look for the additional videos covering features and functionalities. All right, thank you very much.